Hello again. Welcome back if you've been here before, and if you're here for the first time, I'm glad you're here. I hope you enjoy and get something out of this. We cover a lot of different topics. I ramble on incessantly, as you probably already know, although some people seem to like that, which is nice. I feel good about it. I am 74 years old. As I've said before, I am alone in the world, and I don't expect anybody to run any benefits for me or anything like that. I enjoy talking to you folks, and I do give my opinions. And anything on here is just my opinion, so I tell you up front, you may or may not like my opinion. I hope you do. I hope you agree. If you don't agree, please feel free to comment. Do it respectfully, though, please. Speaking of respect, I want to talk a little further about relationships from my last video, or the one before, I believe. Relationships are always a work in progress. We know that. If you've lived as long as I have, or anywhere near the amount of time that I have, you've had relationships that you've lost, and you've had relationships that have lasted almost a lifetime. You're probably very proud of the ones that have lasted almost a lifetime, as I am. But I still am haunted by the ones that I've lost. In the world that I've lived in, I have said more than my share of stupid things that probably cost me a relationship, and as life would have it, I probably knew it as the words were coming out of my mouth, unfortunately. But that being said, they still came out of my mouth, and if there was a retractor on my tongue, I would have said, oh, and put them back in. But life isn't like that. So I have thought about some of these things, and I think I'm a fairly empathetic person, and I try to consider the other person's point of view. And I've come up with a little bit of list of 4-word samples that you might say to try to get a relationship started again. Remember, words can heal. Words can also destroy. So I think I'd rather heal. So let me start off with this. How can I help? If a person's in trouble and you say to them, how can I help? It might get them to actually listen to you. It might not, but if they want help and you say, how can I help? They may take you very seriously and even appreciate it. Next to after how can I help, I always say, what can I do? You're in trouble? I'm your friend. What can I do? How can I help? What can I do? They're interchangeable to a point, but they're slightly different. If you've screwed up something, the end of the world will not happen if you say, I'm sorry about that. Just say it, but you got to say it and mean it. There's the trick. The world is full of bullshit artists. Don't be one of them. Do yourself a favor. Don't be one of them. And then you say, what did I do? So what did I do that made this all happen? Can I undo it? Well, the odds are you probably can't undo it. If the person has a memory of you doing it and you have a memory of you doing it, you can't undo it, but you can make up for it somehow, hopefully. These are just some samples of short sentence words that may or may not get a conversation started again. Now, the trick is, if you've lost a relationship, do you want to get it started again? Any relationship probably had its good moments and moments of pain. Did the good moments outweigh the pain? I have no idea. These are your relationships. I know in mine, it's been about 50-50. I've had some relationships that were a challenge from day one, but somehow they hung on for years. And I've had some other relationships that I've had very few incidents over 40 or 50 years. It just depends on the relationships. And the relationships are just as different as the people are. So there's no stamp that you can put on it and say this works every time. I've never seen it. I do believe, though, that sincerity counts for a lot. If you are sincerely looking to put it back together, and the other person is anywhere near as sincere, there's got to be a way. I am of the opinion, and I could be very wrong about this, but I've been in business and I've used it in business to work as well. Say to the person, look, I know we screwed up. I know that. You don't have to tell me. can tell me how we screwed up. I'll listen to it happily, and I'll respond, and I won't make any excuses. And I will listen. But when I'm talking, I ask that you listen as well. And I was a customer service rep for a computer company, a national chain, as a matter of fact. I think it was national. I know it was at least regional. And we had the world's worst customer service. And I mean the worst customer service. They promised stuff they couldn't deliver in a million years. And they just did that. And then they brought me in and they said, straighten it out. And I had customers that would come in and yell at me. And I stood there and took it for a couple of minutes. I said, look, get it out of your system. Don't be abusive about it. I'm here to listen. I'm here to resurrect it. Let them vent for a couple of minutes. I always let them vent. And I'll do that in my personal relationships also. You want to vent? Please. I'm here. Keep it, respectful. Let's not get crazy. I will listen. After a reasonable period of time, I would say to them, I assume you've covered all the major points here. Let me see what I can do to help your situation resolve. More often than not, believe it or not, we found a way to talk about it. I apologized. I admitted there were mistakes made. And that's not the end of the world to admit that there was a mistake made. We're all human. We make them. I mean, come on. The people that don't acknowledge that, they have real problems. But to acknowledge that you made a mistake is a human characteristic that you should be proud of. And I said to them, I'm going to make it right. Here's what we're going to do. I took responsibility from then on. I said, I'm going to make this right as far as replacing the product or whatever it was in the business world, but I'm going to make this right. And I took ownership of it. I said, you don't deal with anybody but me from now on. You know me now a little bit. Let me prove to you that I am what I say I am. And believe it or not, it usually worked. It didn't save the company because it was not even worth saving, frankly. But from then on, whenever they came to me, they knew they were going to get a positive response because I had promised them one. If you wanted to have a relationship be resolved somehow, and the other person wants to have it solved somehow, you can probably work it out. You may have to bend a little, they may have to bend a little. Nobody gets 100% when you're in a negotiation and a compromise situation. That's just common sense. Everybody knows that. Doesn't mean they don't try. Doesn't mean you don't try. But you're not going to get 100%. If you get 50% and they get 50%, you both come away with a win. Not a bad way to go. Going on to other things. In the world today, there are a lot of fake people and sites. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, they're filled with things that don't really exist. And people get attached to them. And they treat them as if they're real. And they have relationships with them. Folks, that's scary. That's really, really scary. AI is going to take over the world sooner as opposed to later anyway. And AI can do far more than we even know at this point. I would rather deal with somebody that's a little pissed at me that I know to be real than to have AI and the bots and Facebook and Instagram lead me down a black hole. I mean, come on. We didn't have this 20 years ago or 25 years ago. If a person was a person, you knew them. They were a friend, they were a family member, whatever the case may be. You have no idea who you're dealing with online nowadays. I happen to be real. Now, you may not believe me, and believe me, who would fake something like this? But I am real. If you're an older parent or grandparent, there's what's called the grandfather or grandparent scheme. You've probably heard about it. Very, very dangerous. You get a call from somebody that sounds like a relative. They're in trouble. They need money instantly. They may even send a video showing them. It's AI faking it, folks. It's AI faking it. And people have lost a ton of money on it. And being usually less tech savvy as senior citizens as we are, we don't know how to check as well as some of the youngsters do. We're not as tech savvy for the most part. It's fake. It's all fake. And once they got your money, you're done. You may never see that money again. Your bank probably will not protect you at least not in a timely manner. If you don't know something online, if you don't know, and somebody calls you and claims to be something that you should know, but it doesn't seem quite right, it's probably a fake. And remember, the fakes can be almost perfect. So look for the little flaw in the system there. Also, on email, on text, anything you don't know, don't click on. We've talked about this before. They're getting enough of your information without you knowing about it. Don't make it easier for them. All right, in closing, when it comes to relationships, I am always willing to try to resurrect one and to try to keep one. I may be right, I may be wrong, but I am willing to try. If you are as well, give it your best shot and don't quit easily. It might be worth saving, and it may make your life that much better. Thanks for stopping by today. Please like, subscribe, share, do whatever, but come back. And also, please comment. If you comment, even if you disregard everything I've said and disagree with it vehemently, tell me so, but do it in a respectful manner. I will respond. I promise you I will respond. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good day. Hope you enjoyed the hat.